Hey, greetings, everyone. This is your host and Vice President of the American Institute of Stress. It's Will Heckman. Thanks again for joining us. I really appreciate it. In fact, I got some news. We were just told that we are in the top 10 of the 100 podcasts in our field. So we made it all the way to number 8. That's thanks to you guys listening and watching us, and I really appreciate it. You know what I'm going to ask. I want to be number 1. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Thanks again for watching us. And also, don't forget today's podcast is sponsored by AlphaStim. And if you're struggling with anxiety or insomnia or in pain, as many of us are, you need to take a look at AlphaStim. It's the FDA-cleared non-drug medical device trusted by healthcare professionals worldwide. Now, AlphaStim is a proven, patented technology. It uses a gentle microcurrent to help you feel better, and it does it fast without the lasting side effects of medication. It's easy to use, it's portable, it's backed by extensive clinical research, and AlphaStim fits right into your daily routine. So make sure you visit alphastim.com to learn more to take charge of your life. All right, so today, we're going to be diving into one of the most universal and often most misunderstood challenges, and that's overcoming mental and psychological stress. And we're going to explore how stress impacts our minds, our bodies, our relationships, and of course, how we perform and why it can sometimes feel so difficult to manage. More importantly, we'll discuss maybe some practical science-based strategies to help build resilience and restore balance and take control of your emotions and well-being. And this conversation goes beyond coping. It's about understanding stress on a deeper level and learning how to move from simply managing it to truly thriving. And speaking of thriving, joining us today is Rand Selig. Rand holds an MBA from Stanford. He also has undergraduate degrees in mathematics and psychology. For 35 years. He has run his own financial service firms, managing complex projects worldwide. Rand has lived in and worked in Europe and Asia, Mexico, the Caribbean, but he's deeply committed to both personal growth and the environmental conservation. He has served on numerous boards, coached Little League, volunteered as a Scoutmaster. I was a Scoutmaster. Drawing from an extensive life experience and research, Rand authored the book Thriving. And that book his goal is to help others embrace positive change. And of course, you can find it at Barnes & Noble. And like everything else on the planet, you can also find it on Amazon. So make sure you go looking for it. He's also a devoted family man. Rand resides in California with his wife of 42 years, congratulations, and enjoying hiking and tennis as I do and spending time with his grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming our guest, Rand Selig. Rand, thanks so much for taking the time out. I know it's early by you. I appreciate you getting up early to join me.
Well, William, it's a pleasure to be here. This is such an important topic, and I'm just hoping our conversation will be of benefit to your listeners.
Well, I know your book has. I took a real good look at it. I believe it's won some awards. I mean, congratulations. And we're going to talk about that. One of the things I wanted to ask you is, okay, so you have an MBA, you have a degree in mathematics, and then you got a degree in psychology. What sparked your interest in the topic of stress and mental well-being and psychology?
Well, this is something that surrounds us at every moment. Hopefully not every moment, but it's a part of life for so many people. In fact, if I think about it, I'm not sure I could identify somebody who doesn't have stress pouring in at one moment or another during the course of the end of the year that we're just wrapping up. Stress is a powerful thing, and it can be very debilitating. I've seen it in the workplace. I've seen it in boardrooms. I've seen it in my scout troop. I've seen it with people who are really good people. They're trying to do their best, and they don't have the tools. They don't really know what to do to deal with this. They're not sure about the choices they can make. And so I, having observed this for decades, and having built a firm that dealt with privately held companies with major transactions that they engaged me to work with them on, I realized this was something thriving, and all the baggage around not thriving, like stress, are something that I knew something about, and I wanted to share my insights and thoughts with people about.
It's funny you say that because I one time worked around Wall Street, and oh my God, you would think, oh, well, he's unbelievably wealthy and all that. So unhealthy.
Yeah.
I saw men, especially middle-aged men, all of a sudden turn gray and ashen. It was from the stress. Now, stress is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. It helps us be productive. It's exciting. It's part of our life, and in a lot of ways we can use it. And you were talking about one of the reasons that you're interested in it is from your decades of, observational problems that you saw happen. So, from your experience, what do you think are some of the most common sources of stress that people face today?
Well, there are different buckets, I think, that come along, and one of the buckets that's powerful. It affects people, the kind of person you're talking about, middle aged. They're climbing a ladder, but they're struggling with the idea of what is enough. They're struggling with the idea of what is success, and this can be a big problem, a huge problem, very stressful. And so the answer is, if you're looking externally, you're looking to a coworker, you're looking to a boss, you're looking to a neighbor who's driving down the road, in a fancy, brand new, very expensive car. And you're doing something that has been studied. It's a psychological theory of human comparison theory. You're not going to feel successful. There's always something more. Somebody went on a trip. Wow. And you run home and you say, we should do that. I don't know how we're going to be able to pay for it, but let's try to do that. Um, and people wait and wait and wait to retire. Again, I say don't use the word retire, rewire, because if you fall off the cliff, you have nothing that you're really waking up for, nothing that brings purpose and meaning to your life. You're going to suffer consequences of that. So one of these issues is not defining success for themselves personally. And the success factors that I'll share mine. I'll be happy to share mine. Success for me is about being at peace. It's a mental place. It's about being fulfilled. But both of those are not really very much about money.
Right.
It's about having deep and enduring relationships with others. So I got to invest. I got to commit. It's about loving myself, being self-compassionate. I got to review from time to time. Why am I feeling a little grouchy? Why am I feeling a little upset? I got to break that down and take a look at it. Sometimes it's a conversation I had with somebody and it didn't go well, and I think, wow, I didn't handle that very well. Or there are things I would have liked to have said that I didn't say. Maybe because I was afraid, or maybe because I just didn't know how to bring up something. So I keep reviewing. I'm a lifelong learner. I encourage everybody to be curious and keep learning about the world. The world keeps changing, but learn about yourself. Learn how you navigate and what works for you. When you do those things, then I think you can feel a lot more successful. It's an internal compass. It's not the external stuff. The same with the enoughness. there's never enough if you're going to be
Right.
on that external pathway.
Do you think part of the problem is that, well, first of all, I agree with you 100%. I think some of it has to do with age too. Where you and I are not the same, have the same mental state or the same definition of ourselves or success as we did at, say, 25 or 30. And that's understandable. But if I am that age, I still need to have a, a definitive definition of what success looks like. And you're right, it's not always money. Um, I talked to some very wealthy people and some people who are just, just working Joes. And let me tell you something. I know some people who are just getting by and are very happy. And I know some people who are very wealthy and are miserable.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's not always that. And over the years of, I'm sure, being in corporate America for decades, you watch people, and as they get higher up in the hierarchy of their company,
Yeah.
they get more stressed. It's not necessarily a good thing for them. Do you think it has something to do with not being a good fit? Maybe I'm not a good fit maybe I'm happy where I am and I'm just wanting to move on and wanting to do better because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that shows up. Again, this is all a very personal thing. So, what you're about in your organization, and thank you for doing what you're doing, and what I'm doing. Running around with a huge amount of public speaking and podcasts, and it's great. Is getting this message out is that we're all unique. And so, what we need to be able to do is open the door wide enough to be able to talk to people about where they are and what's going on for them. What you just said, William, is absolutely the case. Sometimes it's not a good fit. It's a misfit in big
Right.
proportions. Sometimes you're saying, well, it's because of the boss. You point your finger, and that doesn't answer too many questions. You got to take a look. What are you bringing to the party? What skills do you have? What kinds of things do you need to continue to learn and work at? How are your relationships with other people? On a team, if you're working on a team, take a look, do an inventory, and then say, okay, commit to doing that better and bringing your best self to the situation. Sometimes you need to manage up, which means you go to whoever you're reporting to and say, hey, I want to do an even better job, and to do that, I need your help. I need these things that I don't have right now. I need XYZ. You're thoughtful about it. It's not a endless list of things. It's two or three things that you're very specific about. And then you say, is that something you can help me with? They may say no, in which case you need to decide how really critical that is. If that's the case, maybe you need to change groups. Maybe you need to change companies or maybe even careers.
Or maybe
That's all
change your mind.
possible. Yes,
If
that's right.
it's
That's right.
not that important to your boss, stop stressing about it.
Well, this business of choice is really at the heart of this. It's
Yeah.
it's really the central theme that I talk about in my book in lots of different ways, is that we have enormous power to make choices to get on this path of thriving by choosing how we spend our time, who we spend our time with, what our habits are. And you got to be honest. What are the good habits and what are some of the bad habits and what are the missing habits? And also, what are your emotions? Emotions are a choice too. People are a little surprised sometimes when I say that, but yes, they may come very quickly, but it's a choice. Are you choosing to be positive,
Mm-hmm.
or are you choosing to be cynical?
Right.
What are you digesting in your kind of everyday world that leads to those kinds of emotions, whether they're the happiness ones and the love ones? Are you smiling? Are you showing up with a smile on your face? Are you telling somebody else something positive and complimentary? Well, that's a really great looking shirt you have there, William. Wow. I'm going to come visit you and steal it.
You
You
know
know,
what? That's a really good point, and you're right. And over time, if you focus on the wrong things and you allow the negative stress to run your body, what have you seen that prolonged stress that you're not managing well, or you're just ignoring, which is the one thing you should never do? How does that
well,
how does that manifest itself in people? How does it affect their brain, their body
yeah.
over time? I'm sure you've seen it.
Wow. Huge, huge. Yes, this shows up all the time. My firm, which I'm very happy to say, was just named the best investment banking firm in the state of California. That's
Wow,
quite a credit.
it sure is.
And the way we got there is by being of service, not by saying how are we going to make another fee, cha-ching. No, no. And we start with something that very, very few other investment banking firms start with, which is what are our clients' objectives? We need to understand them and they need to understand them. And then we continue to bring that out at key moments as we move along with the transaction to make sure it fits. Because if it doesn't fit, we don't want to do it. And I don't want to encourage them to do it. Absolutely not. I want to encourage them to do something that's going to fit or maybe even exceed their objectives. So I've seen this issue from a lot of people who come to me say, Rand, I want to sell my company. And I say, well, let's talk about that. And they go, they say, why do you want to sell? Well, I don't like my partner anymore. Well, I say, if we could take care of the partner problem, would you still want to sell your company? Oh, no, no, I don't. I absolutely. Uh, and I said,
Hmm.
well, if I could help you with the partner problem, shall we get started with that? I said, would you? Would you? I mean, it's a very different kind of financial return for you. I said, that's not what's important to me. What's important to me is working with you to get your needs met.
But what
And
about the people that don't address
right,
their negative stress all those years? You created an environment in your company where
yeah,
people are comfortable coming to you, people are
right.
comfortable helping someone else first. Not all
That,
companies are like that. You
that's
know
right.
that.
That's
Some
right.
companies are, I don't want it good, I want it Thursday, kind of places.
Yeah.
And that has an effect on people over
Yeah.
the years. What does that look like?
Yeah. No, I think I was recently asked, you talk about thriving personally, and how does that translate to thriving in a company? And I go, a company thrives because the individuals in the company, and especially the managers and the leader of the company, are thriving themselves. It's a modeling exercise, and it's a genuine one. People see the authenticity of it. They see the difference between what you say and what you do instantly. We're magnets for seeing that difference. So if they're all wrapped in one, you're very authentic, and there's no difference between what you say and what you do, what your values are, and how you're rolling. Then you won't have those problems. You're building a culture that is a great culture. It really leads to this point that I think a lot of people that I've dealt with, some are clients and some are just people in the course of life, really are not clear about their purpose.
Hmm.
They're not clear about what the meaning, produces meaning for them in life. And there are some myths about this. This is why it's such a big problem. One is that your purpose is something you find, like a $20 bill. And that's not how purpose works. Purpose is something you create.
Yeah.
You're diligent, you're thoughtful about it. You say, here is who I am, and now let me, based on who I am, create something that I can engage with, that's something that matters, that I think matters. It doesn't matter what somebody else matters. It might matter what your partner thinks about it, but basically it matters to you. The other thing is that people think that purpose has to be grand. You're going to solve some galactic problem. And that's not true either. It can be something on an everyday kind of level, like being a good listener. like being kind and respectful. I've spoken at retirement homes, and I talk about the 10 keys to aging well. And I start with having purpose, and people look at me like, what am I talking about? My purpose is to wake up tomorrow morning and gobble up a yummy lunch. And I tell them, hey, I'm really glad you're here. I'm glad you're looking forward to that lunch. I know it's going to be a good one. But your purpose doesn't have to be any more than you welcoming somebody new to your retirement community. You've been here 2 or 3 years. You know things they don't know. Welcome them. Offer to help them get situated faster. Be a resource for them. Listen to their story. You don't have to tell your story first and foremost. Listen to theirs. Stay with their story. Ask some more questions about what's going on with them. When the time is right, they'll get ready to ask you questions, and you can deliver on your story. So purpose can be of that level. It's a way of being a person rather than just doing things all the time.
And you know what? The waking up part and having lunch could be on the list. It just
Yes.
doesn't have to end there. Just,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Just
sometimes uh, what I've seen, especially in dealing with workplace stress, is you need a good leader like yourself to point out positive things.
yeah.
So many
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
will have one little success after another all day long,
Yeah.
and maybe make a misstep that stresses them out and erases everything else because that's what they focus on.
Yeah.
So you may find your perception of what your purpose is and what the reality of finding that purpose and even doing a small thing changes when you do it and you do it well.
Yeah, that's true. And again, back to habits. What one habit that is just so really important is to be grateful
Yeah.
and to practice it. It is a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it gets. And people say, "Well, yeah, but look at my situation. It's really terrible. I just got the call from the doctor. It's a really horrible news." And I go, "I'm sorry to hear that news. Do you trust your doctor? Let's talk about this." And as we explore the situation, point out you've got support, you've got a partner, you've got friends, you've got the financial wherewithal to take care of your medical problems. It's not going to be another stress point for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, the news you got's not great, but think about it could have been worse. Think about that.
Yeah.
So, I sort of give a broader perspective on a problem area. But aside from the problem areas, just walk out and look at this amazing world we're living in. That here it is, winter's coming along as we're recording this, and so seasons have changed, and different animals are doing different things. I mean, this is an amazing thing, and it leads to a chance to be humble. We're little, really insignificant characters, and we're not going to be here for very long.
You know,
And
I,
so,
I,
being in awe by looking at nature and being having humility, wow, that adds so much. Add that to the gratitude basket, and this will get you through a lot of those one moment in time during the day when something happened and you're just
I was going to say that you and I probably share a love of nature and being outdoors, and I'm a birder, which is really annoying to all my friends. Oh, look, it's just, but we have a commonality. Our people who listen to this are looking for ways to manage their stress. And I'm telling you that if you get out there
yeah.
and go for a walk in nature, I know it's not always easy. Drive your car to a nice park that has a nice path. Go to the beach and just walk along the beach. Go see a waterfall, something like that.
Right.
Go look at some birds.
Yeah.
Rand and I have something in common. which I think may have started us on our journey to understanding how being out in nature is so beneficial. We were both scouts.
Yes.
We were
Yeah.
both Boy Scouts, and at a young age, we were introduced to it. So if you have children, you find that they're being stressed and just they are because they're young and they have no management tools, and you're looking for one. There you go. Take them for a walk. Experience it. Go look at butterflies, for God's sakes. I don't care. But
Yeah.
you know, being introduced to it at a young age is a really good thing and a really great stress management tool. Rand, let me ask you something. You're working in offices with many companies all around the world, so it may be a little. The answer may be a little different depending on because you were in Mexico and Europe and Japan and all these places. When someone is working, with workplace stress has just gotten so horrible, and they're not dealing with their stress. And you're looking at what are some of the early warning signs that stress is becoming unhealthy and maybe even overwhelming that person that they're not noticing themselves, but you as a leader have observed.
Well, I think it shows up in a physical way, very quickly, and sometimes it's easier to see because you see a person changing.
Yeah.
You know, you saw them 3 months ago, and they were lighter. Their posture was different. They had a smile on their face, and now they're not. And if you're paying attention, so this is the thing, you want to pay attention, is then you have a conversation with them. Maybe it's a coffee outside the office, and
Right.
you say, "Hey, uh, Jim, I've just noticed you just don't seem to be smiling as much, and you seem to like feel like there's pressure on your shoulder. I just see it in your body. I'm just seeing it. What's going on? Tell me." And if you have that kind of trust already in the relationship, then you can go there, and they can share. They might dump what the problem is. It could be something related to their family, something to do with their partner. It could be something to do with a sick child. It could be any number of things. It could be some frustration that they didn't get a promotion that they thought that they deserved. It could be any number of things. The list is long, but you need to listen. You need to listen, and there's a listening technique called mirroring, where you don't give advice right away. What you do is just listen to understand, and you say, "Wow, I can see how significant this is. What I'm hearing is this and this. Did I get that right?" And they go, "Yeah, but there's also this." Something that you didn't include in your summary, and you go, "Oh yeah, well, but let me clarify. Did you mean this or did you mean that?" So you stay in the conversation with them. um, Somebody recently told me sometimes you got to decide, especially if it's an adult family member, a child who's now an adult. Do you want advice? Do you want to meet just to listen? And I think that means also asking good questions. Or do you want a hug? So
Ah,
these kinds of things, now all those things might not be all part of the culture in the company, but in a personal relationship basis, they can be. But the point here is to pull back and be thoughtful about how you're going to navigate through. But to answer that first question, you see it. You see it just pops right out. um, Before you get into conversation, I think about this a lot with my wife. We've been married a long time. If there's something important I want to talk to her about, I say, "Is this a good time?" And she may say no, or she says, "What is it about this?" And I say, "Yeah." She says, "It's not a good time." And I say, "Okay, that's fine. Do you think we'll have time this weekend?" She says, "Yeah, let's talk about this weekend."
you
So
know, that's probably
you
why
gotta
you've
have
been
you have,
married so
have the
long.
right time. Yeah, yeah.
Because you're intuitive enough to ask that. That's
and
why you're
and
married
and, pre-
42 years.
and prepared for her to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that relationships, which are another heart to everything we do and leads to a lot of stress. And sometimes it's the relationship with ourselves. I mean, the
Right.
most important relationship we'll ever have in our lives is the one with ourselves. You got to really find a way to care for yourself and to love yourself, even if you're still improving. I'm still improving. I still love myself. So I can still laugh. Um, but relationships, I like to think about it as like a relationship banking, where there are deposits and there are withdrawals. So deposits are what? They're things like being complimentary. It's like being interested and asking questions. It's just being available to them. Those are all deposits. Your bank account grows. Well, depending on the relationship, it could take just one withdrawal to throw away all those deposits. In my wife's case, I think it's like 20 deposits get negated by one withdrawal. I gotta be really sensitive because she's a sensitive, caring, lovely
Right.
person, but I can mess that up. So the withdrawals are where you say something that is not kind. Your tone of voice, you're just so triggered at the moment when you should pull away. Take some deep breaths. Think about it. Think about a better time to present something, as opposed to rushing in with like your fists all balled up. That's going to be most likely a withdrawal, and it can negate all that hard work that you've been doing and all the attention that you've been giving on the deposit side.
And you also need to accept the fact that, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you see something is wrong, guys, I know we're so guilty of this. We want to fix it. We
Yes.
we want to go in there. We just want to make it better. But if the other person is saying, I don't want to talk about it right now, you have to dampen that urge to fix it,
Yeah.
even though it's frustrating and stressful for you, so
Yeah.
you don't add to the stress of the person who is facing a challenge at that moment. Maybe they just need to get their thoughts together. It's a really good point, man. Really good.
Yeah, yeah, and the fixing can also be just you saying, "Hey, I'm here for you," whenever you're ready,
Right.
and that
Yeah.
that's worth
God,
embracing
that's
because
worth so much too.
the fix is I have an idea. I don't think you've thought about that. I don't think you've done it. So you should take my brilliant idea and apply it right away and your problem go away.
Okay.
Well, first of all, we're not doing it. It's that person who's going to have to do it, apply it. It's their relationships they've got to work through, their own head, their own heart. So all these things. So just being there is a huge fixing
That's a
also.
that's a really 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 good point. Um, so I wanted to just switch gears just a little bit
Yeah.
because you've been in the workplace for a long time, and at the American Institute of Stress, it's a big deal for us. That's why we have this stress health program for EAPs now, and we're developing a course for people to become certified stress coaches to help other people. Do you think that the environment that people are working in now, it's changed so much since we were kids, when we first started in the workforce? Do you think the focus or the the stigma attached to mental health problems, including being burnt out, has changed?
It's a good question. I don't really know how to answer that question. In,
It's
in all
fair.
likelihood, in all likelihood, the answer is yes. And my answer, the reason why I would say yes is because I think the speed of things has picked up, the volume of information because of internet, because of social media. These things can lead to overwhelm, which is another one of the stress factors, being
Right.
overwhelmed. Sometimes you think to yourself, well, I've got 20 things to do. Well, realistically, you might be able to do 5 of them well. Another 5 you can get by with, but the other 10 are going to kind of just get left behind. And if you beat yourself up about that, that's not so good. So you need to really decide what's really important. So yeah, I think the answer is yes. Again, burnout. We see a lot of social messages. Who's a hero? So the person who just got this big contract for playing a sport, and the money seems astronomical. And you think, oh my gosh, I'm being left behind. I'm doing well. I'm comfortable. I can take my vacation, but I don't have that. I don't have my mansion. I don't have this. So these messages about who are our heroes, and we tend to make the mistake, I think, that somebody who's a great actor and is in a super duper movie, now their opinion about the environment matters. Well, do they know anything about the environment? They know as much as we do, maybe more,
Right.
maybe less, but we tend to look at these people like icons, and we get we allow ourselves to be uh, pushed along by influencers. These are big machines at work in our everyday lives. And to be able to unplug is another thing that I think is very, very important for de-stressing, is to take one day off a week. I really, really recommend that. I mean, I've had an enormously satisfying but complicated career, and raising 2 terrific kids and
Right.
being on these boards and all these things. Uh, but I did it because I recharged every week. I
It's
would
funny
take,
because
and I wouldn't shop. I wouldn't go do internet.
right.
I would just take time off, listen to music, have friends over, eat up some yummy food.
Yeah.
All of those things for sure. Yes.
I was going to say it's funny because Dr. Kirsch, the president of AIS, said to charge your phone, you have to plug it in. To charge your brain, you have to unplug it. And
Oh,
that's
that's
really
beautiful.
true. Yeah. And it's really true. We need to learn to unplug. I had this conversation with my wife the other day because she's a teacher working 60 hours a week, which most people don't realize how much teachers work. And I said, but there's always going to be more to do. Always. You could work nonstop. So at some point, you have to unplug, just as you said. What are some of the
Well,
things?
there's another thing that is important to bring shed some light on, and this is the idea of letting go. So it's one of the big emotionally healthy things to do. And I thought to myself, the reason why I've had all these accomplishments was because I was in control. And thanks to my terrific wife and my 2 super duper kids, they showed me that I actually wasn't controlling as much as I thought I was. And as I took a look at it, I realized I was actually only controlling 4 things. Four things. 1, I was controlling my attitude. 2, I was controlling the amount of effort I was willing to put into something, whether it was a relationship or a project. Um, 3, I could control my behavior. Well, usually. And then 4, I could make choices about what actions to take. Those are the only 4 things that I controlled. Everything else, as it related to other people, was about influence. And I could either increase my influence by how I dealt with the situation, or decrease my influence. And it was visible right away. Influence.
That's really
So,
good.
so I was able to let go. I do this little exercise, and it's you're trying to let go, and so you're holding on to something. You hold up your fist. You're holding on to this thing. There's a lot of pressure. You can hold up your fist if you want and do this exercise with me, William.
You
And you're
bet.
holding on. You're saying, "Oh, I want to let go of." Name your thing. You see your knuckles on the top of your fist. They're lighter than the rest of your hand. And you go, I want to let go of that. And then you turn your fist over, knuckles again, lighter than the rest of your fist. And then you say, you know what? Who's in charge here? Who's driving this bus? And you say, I am. And I joke, maybe you read Rand's book. And
Yeah.
now you open your fingers, you wiggle your fingers and your thumb, and magically your hand rises into the sky because it's no longer weighted down by
Right.
that heavy thing. You've let it go. And this exercise, used to do this a lot, and I always would smile. It always helped. Now I think because I'm more humble, more acquainted with this whole world, I do it less often. I don't need to do it as often, but I always smile when I do it.
I think that's a great thing to do. And I think a lot of listeners should probably, if you're sitting at your desk and you're feeling really overwhelmed, try it.
Yeah.
And just the physicality of doing something. You can do breathing exercise, you can do a lot of things, but that's a great thing to do. Chris, I felt the release
Yeah.
in my body right then and there. That's great. That's
You,
awesome.
you're also moving your body. We talked
Yeah.
about going out in nature, but it's also just moving your body, moving your arms, moving your back. Stress shows up in our bodies as tightness. It's like a tight spring, and if we can let go of that stress by just moving, by looking at something, by smiling, boy. Mother Teresa says the beginning of love is a smile. I mean, people are smiling at me, and I'm going, "Wow, that's really cool. What's going on?" And I realized I'm smiling.
Yeah, they're smiling back. Isn't that great?
Yeah,
How contagious that is. Don't forget, while a smile and being happy is contagious, so is negative stress. So
yeah,
if somebody is that you're not connected to is going through some sort of stress episode that you're not involved with, get away from it.
yeah,
'Cause you'll catch it. You'll
yeah,
catch that negative stress, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself,
yeah,
I was feeling so good before. What the hell happened?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
but that person is smiling, having a good time, go hang out with them. It's
yeah.
like, all right, listen, I wanted to ask you about your book. Tell us a little bit about it, why you wrote it, what's it about. Obviously, we need a lot more time to talk about your book, but I wanted to give you the chance. I'll put up a picture of it and
Thank you.
tell people where to get it. It's a great book. Like I said, it's won awards. What was your thought process behind it?
Well, the history of this book, people tell me is very interesting to them. I started collecting materials way back in high school.
Hmm.
An article I'd read, maybe a thought I had of my own. I'd collect quotes. My book has a lot of quotes, which my readers say are really well positioned to amplify a point I'm making. And on the book website, there's a PDF of my favorite quotes by chapter, and people say I have them printed out. I just go down today. This is the quote for me today. So I had this 4 foot high stack of papers, and I said, "Wow, there's a book or two in there, and there's a book or two in me." And I started. I said, "It's time." So originally, it was going to be a legacy project, and I wisely went to 3 friends with the manuscript, and I said, "Please tell me what you think. Tell me, especially. I don't care about the typos right now. I really care about what's missing or what wasn't clear." And they all came back after a few weeks. These are people who knew me well. They'd written books, and they said no. And I thought, oh no, it's that bad. I've got to, trash this whole project. And they said, no, it's that good. It's that important. You can't make this a small legacy project for a few hundred people. You got to get it out there into the world. And that was a terrific thing. I'm so glad I got their advice, and they had a lot of constructive feedback also, which I really appreciated. So the book is really all about this question of who's driving the bus. So I hold up my little bus and I say, okay, are you on autopilot? Are you driving? If you're driving, guess what? You're deciding how fast to go. You're deciding when to stop and do unplugging. You're deciding when to turn right or left. That could be a change of some in some relationship or some job related thing. You're deciding who to invite on your bus. We need to keep on refreshing and adding people to our lives. One of my father's great gifts, we buried him a year ago at Arlington National Cemetery, was have friends of all ages. So people half your age, people 20 years older, something like that.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, as you were talking about a minute ago, William, sometimes you got to invite people off your bus. And they might be close, they might be family members, but it just is so painful, so toxic. You got to, that's who's driving your bus. And a related question is, who's the author of your story?
Mm-hmm.
Having now become an author, I can talk about this. Sometimes you have the power to delete, you have the power to edit. Maybe the story is boring to you, or the way you're telling it is just sloppy, you know. And once you have your story, the story that empowers you, that makes you feel good about yourself and the world that you're living in, then you can start looking at the future stories, craft new futures for yourself. It's a fun little exercise. You be the author of your own story. Very powerful.
Well, it's a great book of what I've read. I haven't read the whole thing, but people, go find it. It's on Amazon. Go walk into Barnes and Noble and get it. I think that you'll come away with some real insights into how to thrive in your life and how to take a little bit more control of yourself and maybe like Rand says, drive your own bus. I heard something the other day that somebody asked somebody very famous, do you have any regrets?
Mm.
He said, no, I have no regrets. They said, you have no regrets? He goes, no. Even the people that were negative in my life, I learned something from. The only regret I would say is I would have spent less time with them. So that made a lot of sense to me. All right, we're running out of time. I don't want to go too long, but if you could leave our listeners with just like one key takeaway about overcoming mental and physical stress, psychological stress, what would it be?
That you have power, enormous power, to make choices that deal with this stress, that either avoid the stress, get you out of that deep hole, or propel you in a direction that has meaning and it makes you brings you to the table, whether it's your personality, your skills, your attitude, your whole mental model. We have those choices, and I just want to encourage people and inspire people to embrace that. If you're in a difficult situation, you've made some choices and you've stayed in that difficult situation because you continue to make those choices. So take a look at that. I encourage you. By the way, my book is also for your listeners who like a book on audio. My book is now out on audio, and I narrated it myself, so
Awesome.
you can hear, my humanity showing up.
I love when authors read their own book. The inflection of their voice means so much because they have such a deeper understanding of what they meant to say. Well,
Yeah.
Rand, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy running around doing a lot of talking, a lot of public speaking. So I appreciate you getting up early, first of all, and coming and talking to us. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, William, it's been my pleasure. I don't say I'm busy anymore. I say I'm delightfully scheduled
Lightly scheduled.
because
I
I'm
like
making
that.
choices. I'm making choices, and I'm saying
Right.
no. Very powerful word. I'm saying no to a whole lot of things, and I'm saying yes. So, what's in my schedule, I've chosen, and it was a great choice to be with you today.
Thank you. And thank all of you who are listening and watching today. And I want to thank Rand for bringing awareness to the issues we talked about today. And that's going to do it for us. This has been your host, Will Heckman. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to follow this podcast. Please subscribe. Like I said, we want to get past number 8. I want to go to number 1. I also want to remind everyone, just as stress is different for each of us. There is no one stress reduction or management strategy that's right for everyone. So that means you need to join us next time as we explore more stress management strategies and insights. You take care, everyone.